I look after a team of researchers working in districts across the South Island, and our case study settings are Ashburton, Timaru and Awamaru. And in those communities we're working with groups that are trying to make the best they can with the resources that they have to make their cities better places to be. In the towns we're dealing with, they were once described as zombie towns, and we were really interested in exploring that right back at the beginning of our research, and we found that that was kind of far from the truth. There are a lot of really good people in these communities doing the best they can on limited resources, and that energy really impressed us. So one thing we adopted in our research was a methodology where we made sure we worked in and with communities, so alongside them as they were doing their work, and spent a lot of time with them in the early days working out how we could contribute effectively and not get in the way of their work. So we sort of looking for the sweet spots where we could really help out from a research perspective. And in one of the communities it was very clear that they were interested in the social impact assessment expertise that our team could bring, and hence we focused a lot on how we could provide guidance around social impact assessment so communities could do that work for themselves, and that's where these social impact assessment guidelines came from. So this will walk you through social impact assessment from start to finish, and you don't need to necessarily be a social impact assessment expert to grapple with it. So these guidelines are really written in such a way that we hope they'll resonate with anyone doing a development project in the community, anyone starting a new program or have a new plan in mind, or trying to understand the social implications of a particular policy that might have effects in the community. So it really is for decision makers and people on the ground in local organisations. Back at the beginning of the National Science Challenge there was a strong case put forward that while the Science Challenge was about cities, there was also we still should be considering how our regions and small towns and rural communities are developing. So we really have pushed into that space particularly, and it's enabled us to get really close in these small towns to networks of people that are gathering together to create better places. So when you take a collaborative approach to this type of work, there's a couple of years at the beginning when you're doing a lot of exploring and you're trying to understand from a local perspective what the issues are and where you can fit without interrupting the flow they've already got in their communities. So in that process you get to meet a lot of people in these communities, and you find the ones that what you're planning to do resonates most strongly with. So our starting point has often been district councils, and we've sort of spread out from there into the communities. And over time you naturally get a group of people who really see value in what you're trying to do, and they become your go-to crowd for a long period of time. And you get to know those people really well, and through them the challenges of the town you're working in. So the team in the Thriving Regions South Island program is multidisciplinary. The project leaders are Emeritus Professor of Planning Harvey Perkins and Dr. Nick Taylor, who's a social impact assessment practitioner. And together, even though we sort of are leading our programs in different towns, every now and then we come together to share our ideas from across those projects, and all of that information has sort of helped feed into the production of these guidelines. It's wonderful having leaders like that with so much research experience in our teams who can really support the younger researchers and people in communities as well who are really learning from the research process.